How can I help? I can break that down. Kingly make. Use it well. Never seen something finer.
I need time to do that. I need more time. I need time to do that. I need more time. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I need time to do that. I need more time. I need more time. I need more time. I'm not ready yet. I need time to do that. I need more time. I'm not ready yet. I need time to do that. I'm not ready yet.
Okay guys, so for the build that I used in this video, this is it. So this time what I did, what I changed from my previous build, I can show you. So the first version, the very first version of the Heartseeker that I used this gear. So here, as you can see, I tempered chance to daze enemies, and on the bow, this bow that I used, it was, as you can see, marksman crit strike chance, because the aim was to reach 100% crit strike chance, not because we are using crit chance, but because of the daze, right? With this, previously I had 100% or more than 100% chance to daze enemies, and what I used was this node here and this node here. So when you critically strike a dazed enemy, they are knocked down, and on max rank it's for 1.5 seconds. And that means that if you have 100% crit chance, you can keep the enemies always dazed and knocked down, so completely immobilized, and they cannot use skills except for unstoppables. But once they use unstoppable, you know, they're unstoppable for usually 4 or 5 seconds, maybe 6 seconds, and after that you can daze them again and knock them down, and their unstoppable would be on cooldown, and the cooldown of the unstoppable skills are usually something like 20 seconds. With CDR maybe 15-16 seconds, something like that. So they will be for quite some time, you know, they will be dead before they can use unstoppable again. However, with this build, here I tempered, for example, poison resistance or something like that, and resistances. Anyway, the point is that if you want to play this version, which is the daze version, you need to temper on your weapons crit chance. So here, as you can see, I tempered crit chance, and crit chance, and I used crit chance on my jewelries. So I replaced basically everything, like completely everything here, except the gloves. But so for the gloves I used also daze, but I had 4 tempers, 4 rerolls, so I rewrote chance to freeze on them. Now for the build that I use specifically in this video, right, it's Andariel build. Previously it was the Shaco build. and I find that this build is one of the best builds. I can see that only rapid fire would be better. Like if you want, I haven't tried this, and I really don't want to waste more time trying this, because I'm done with the season. Really, I've enjoyed it, played, tested a lot of builds, but I want to move on to other games. I play just Warframe and Last Epoch, but Last Epoch are releasing their new content in a few days. So anyway, this is the build. So this build is the dodge based build. As you can see, I replaced all my gear with dodge chance and chance to freeze. Now, because we are playing dodge and we want to immobilize the enemy, you want to so the thing is that on the jewelry you want to take dexterity. Now the problem is that if you take dexterity, you have to sacrifice crit chance, and if you are sacrificing crit chance on the amulet and the jewelry, then you know that it's better to play the freeze rogue than the daze rogue, because then you have to temper crit chance here, not impossible, but and take crit chance here, but then you are sacrificing lucky hit chance here. And on top of that, this is Andariel build, right? So if you can, if you want to maximize Andariel, the point is that you sacrifice the end dodge. You want to maximize Andariel's damage and dodge chance. This gives you best survivability and damage output in a very nice combination. So that means that, as you can see, we are very low on health here, because it's a dodge based build, and you cannot sacrifice health on rings all the time, right? You have to take health at least on one ring. And if you do this, because you need dexterity on the rings, that's out of the question. It's a must. It's a must to take dexterity. And then lucky hit chance. These two stats are a must. And then on one of the rings, at least you need max health, because you don't have health. The best amulet that you can get is this one. And by the way, this one didn't drop for me. I traded 10 Stygian stones for it. But I've burnt out of the pit. I had, I think, something like a bit more than 40 in total this season that just dropped, not counting the ones that I bought, but just the ones that I dropped were like 45 or something like that, I think. So I traded 10 for this amulet, and this amulet was exactly what I wanted. So on the amulet, you want, if you can get only one affix here to be a greater affix, it has to be dexterity. Movement speed, maybe you can get away if it's not greater affix, but it's very important to be a greater affix, because you want to maximize movement speed. I mean, here I wouldn't take movement speed as greater affix, or maybe you can, alright? But the thing is that with the dodge chance, every 100 dexterity gives you 1% dodge chance, additive dodge chance, which is better than the multiplicative dodge chance. And that's why you want to maximize dexterity. As you can see, I have 3000 dexterity here. And the thing is that the greater affixes everywhere on your gear. should be dexterity. Ideally, here as well, it would be dexterity. And the lucky hit chance, you can keep as normal lucky hit chance, that's fine. Like it doesn't need to be great graphics because you're running lucky hit chance on the gloves as well. If you can get your hands on dexterity as a great graphics on the rings, that's the best. And on the amulet, dexterity as a great graphics as well. And then don't temper mobility cooldown reduction. I just weren't able to temper movement speed. But if you get this with dexterity great graphics absolute must, then movement speed maybe not great graphics, but you make sure that you temper movement speed then. And dodge chance. So you temper movement speed, dodge chance here, movement speed, dodge chance here, dodge chance everywhere. Here you need dexterity, dodge chance, and temper dodge chance with Heartseeker, skills to Heartseeker. Then here as well you temper dodge chance, and you need armor, of course, because you are not gonna reach the cap. As you can see, I have 26.4% total armor on the amulet, and then the only armor affix that I have is on the chest, and I'm barely at almost 10,000, let's say, but you need at least 9,230. And everywhere else it's absolutely just dodge chance. As you can see, I have dodge chance 74.7, but if I go out, for some reason, I think it's because of this one doesn't count if you're in the city or something like that. If I go out, it becomes like 85%. So we can test this. I can show you. So if I just go out of the city, you see that I have around 87% dodge chance. So the boots, you want dexterity as great graphics, movement speed, dodge chance, and again you temper chance to freeze everywhere. And with this setup I have around 87% chance to freeze on lucky hit. Andariel, I just got it, as you saw from the beginning of the video. I just crafted it and got it with these great graphics. For the bow, I already said you need dexterity as a great graphics, then damage and vulnerable damage, and you should temper vulnerable damage as well. Now here with the bow, as you can see, I've tempered chance to deal poison damage because this is poison build. However, don't do this if you don't have 100% chance to for the Heartseeker to cast twice. Luckily or unluckily, I would say unluckily because I would prefer to hit more of the greater affixes or the vulnerable damage here, but anyway, as you can see here, I have 41.3% chance, and then I have 59.5, which is like 100 point something percent chance, just barely above 100% chance to for the Heartseeker to cast twice. So I didn't need to temper it on the bow. But if you don't get it 100% here on the weapons, then I would suggest you to temper it here. And the chances are that you are not gonna get it. Like, for example, here I had to hit this twice, and it was just from the first time. And you know, I wasn't sure. I already had the materials, like the crafting materials. For example, I can show you here. You can see I still have 1,300 of this material, 1,000 of this. I spent it this because I was reloading from the first try, right? So I just had the materials, I had the weapons, and this one wasn't tempered yet. These were tempered. So I just started upgrading this first to see what I will hit. Then I hit the Heartseeker and I saw that it's already 100%, so there was no need to temper it here. However, you can do the opposite, because to hit here twice and then have the max row or almost the max row here is very unlikely. So better first temper it here, the Heartseeker, start upgrading this, see how much chance you reach here, then upgrade one of the swords with Heartseeker tempered, and see when you temper it if you can reach 100% just from these two weapons, right? Then temper the third weapon, and if you already reached 100% from these two, then temper chance to do poison damage on your second sword. That's a better strategy in my opinion. I just was lucky to, or maybe unlucky, right? Because lucky in this case would be to hit anything else and just temper Heartseeker here, but whatever. So you temper vulnerable damage everywhere. Vulnerable damage here, on the bow, on the rings, and then on the rings it's whatever, really. I don't care. Agility cooldown reduction is the best, because then this counts as agility skills and this is agility skill, and then you have cooldown on both of them. Otherwise you would have cooldown only on dash or the shadow step. So the best case would be agility cooldown reduction, because it reduces the cooldown of both of them. And finally, as with the necklace I already said, dexterity greater affix absolute must. And this is because you need to reach as high dexterity as possible, because every 100 dexterity gives you 1% dodge chance. As you can see, I have 30% dodge chance just from the dexterity. So from the for the affixes, we are running the Crowded Sage on the chest. Then here is the Inner Calm. Here we run the Assimilation aspect, again for the dodge chance. And on the boots we are running Concussive Strikes. This is just for additional crowd control, you know, because so for the Paragon, oops, let me see here. For the Paragon, as you can see, we are running Control Glyph, which gives you damage only when the enemies are crowd controlled. But then you have a chance to freeze, which is like almost 90% chance to freeze. And on top of that, you have chance to daze. So enemies will be dazed or frozen most of the time. So you will have at least one control, crowd control effect on them. And then you will have this additional damage. For the bow, we are using the Moonrise. On the amulet is the adaptability. These are for the basic skill damage. Then on the sword is the rapid for the basic skill attack speed. Here, the aspect of elements on the other weapon, and this is very nice in this setup because they alternate between the fire, lightning, and physical, and cold, poison, and shadow. You will always be dealing physical and poison. So whenever it alternates, you will be benefiting from both of the alternative, cycles. When it switches to physical, you are doing physical all the time, because as you can see, Heartseeker is doing physical damage, and the poison damage is just chance on lucky hit trigger to release the poison nova. So your main damage is physical, but then you're maximizing the poison damage with the Paragon board. And so for the Paragon board, we are running marksman damage. This is just physical damage, increases your physical damage. Then this is vulnerable damage. Again, this increases both your physical damage and poison damage. And then we are everything else except the control is for the poison. So we are running Kenny for more poison damage, Bane for poison damage, Tracker for damage to poisoned enemies, and your poison damage effect lasts 40% longer. But then this glyph doesn't do like, or maybe it has some effect on poison damage, I'm not sure, but for sure it increases your physical damage as well, because the effect is increased damage to poison targets, so it should apply to both poison and physical damage if the enemy is already poisoned, and they will be because you're wearing Andariel. And then the damage to crowd controlled targets. So and we are getting the cold resistance, because the cold resistance you cannot cap if you don't take this. And the reason is that we are running fire resistance, lightning and shadow, and then you have poison on from Andariel, and the only uncapped resistances would be cold. But then in this case, if you take this, all your resistances are capped. And I'll show you one more setup if you don't want to run so from my previous video that I uploaded, this is exactly the same setup that I used. However, if you don't have Andariel, let me see if I can find it. Where was it? Yes, you can use this, and this is very nice because you're reaching with this setup here. As you can see, I have 83% dodge chance. If I go out from the city, you'll see I'll have around 95, maybe 96% dodge chance. Let me see, almost 96% dodge chance. You're still not immortal with this, as you can see. But if you go with this, you need poison resistance here. Or if you take the one with shadow, you have to replace this with poison, right? But you still won't have the poison kept. Or maybe you can have them. So yeah, you can have them. So you can either go shadow and cap your resistances with poison here, or the opposite. But then again, if you go with this helmet, you take dexterity, health, temper, dodge chance, and chance to freeze, and then that way you will have chance to freeze over 100%. Yes. So you freeze targets even easier. You will have more dodge chance, which means even more survivability, and you will have more health. But then the Paragon board is completely different, and I'll put a link for that as well. I've already put link for this specific build in my previous video, but I'll put a link here as well. So for the two alternative versions, this is without Andariel, and with Andariel, you know, I already showed you the setup, and this is basically this is the Paragon board for the Andariel setup. So that's this build. I'll put a link in the description for everything. Now what I want to talk about a little is just okay, let me see, is this thing. Okay, so what I want to show you is this rogue here, because we are playing dodge chance. Okay, so Maybe I can increase this. So as you can see, this rogue is playing Twisting Blades, and he cannot get hit at all. Okay, just take a look. Okay. So, anyway, the reason why I wanted to show you this is because two things. With 95% chance dodge, 95.5% chance dodge, I can still get hit, and I've shown you on my previous video. On this video you can see that I get hit very often. I mean, maybe not that often, but yeah, it's relatively often, even with this dodge chance. So you need 100 or maybe even more than 100% dodge chance to not get hit at all. But why I wanted to show you this is because of this. Okay, here if you can see the comments, this guy asks, do you share the build guide? He says, unfortunately no. Then another person asks him, can you share the build to me in private message? And the guy replies, I don't want to give my build to anyone because it's PvP setup only and PvP is competitive. This is exactly what I want to emphasize here. If you decide to play this build, the dodge rogue, and you go 100% or above 100% and become like that, you are already out of the realm of competitive. When you say it's competitive and you play this, it's bullshit. You're not playing competitive, you're playing bullshit. Because what in this is competitive? Just look. There's nothing competitive. You cannot get hit. It's like playing Immortal Sork or Immortal Barb with Martial Vigor and say it's competitive. It's not competitive because they can't hit you. You don't have the necessity to dodge. Just look. He's just standing and just spamming Twisting Blades. If you don't have 100% dodge chance, you will never be able to do this. To just stand there still and spamming skills. You'll get demolished in 2 seconds. Even with 95% dodge chance. I'm telling you, those devil barbs, bleed barbs, even with 95% dodge chance, you cannot risk staying in close for like prolonged period of time. The dodge chance is just to give you, more room to play, just not to get one shot. You go, they one tap you and you go back in town, right? In order to have some room to play, play for some time, do some mechanics, dodge, have an interesting game. That's the point of dodge, just to give you more room and time to play. It's not to become immortal. the definition of competitive, of something competitive, is that there is a competition, which means that there is a skill involved. And if you are not required to exercise any skill, right? You just stay there and spam whatever you have to spam. It's not competitive anymore, because no one is required to have skill to execute that, and by definition that is not in the realm of competitiveness. That's bullshit. Competitive is only if you can be killed, but you cannot be killed. So what competitiveness are we talking about here? That there's no competitiveness. It's the same with Immortal Sork and Immortal Barbs. There's no skill involved. You don't exercise your skills. You don't learn new skills. That it just standing there doing whatever you're doing. There's nothing competitive about that. So that's my point. The reason why I'm telling this is because I myself prefer not to go 100% dodge. And if you want, you can go 100% dodge. You just forget about everything. You don't temper. You temper dodge everywhere. You take greater affixes with dodge. So you take greater affix dodge here. You temper dodge. You take dexterity as max as possible. Not greater affix. You take dodge greater affix and dexterity as high as possible. You can roll. Dodge chains here as a greater affix and Heartseeker, and then dexterity as high as possible. You temper dodge chains here. Again, you can even forget about the movement speed. Just go dodge chains. And no, yes, you can forget about the temper movement speed. Just temper dodge chains. No, sorry, here you cannot temper dodge chains. So here you temper dodge chains, and yeah, I think this can, and here, okay, here you can take greater affix dodge chains as well and temper the dodge. Here you can take greater affix dodge and temper dodge. Here as well, and I think that here you can temper dodge chains as well, and you can absolutely reach 100% dodge, even more than 100% dodge, and you can become immortal as Rogue as well. But then again, you're not gonna play the game, you're gonna play bullshit. And the reason why I'm telling you this is, if you are okay with playing bullshit, then by all means go and play bullshit. But to me the game is not interesting when you are playing bullshit and trying to call it competitiveness, because it's not. So that's all from me. Hope you enjoyed this, and have a great time in the rest of the season. Thank you all, and see you in hopefully season 5.